What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Sunday, September 17th, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have a U.S. presidential Doomsday plane up in the air with its transponder off over the Midwest, and it got aerially refueled by a KC-135 Stratotanker, and then it shut its transponder off. Very, very strange. And we also have a U.S. government VIP plane heading towards a U.S. government Doomsday bunker in Nebraska in Offutt Air Base, home of Stratcom, all at the same time. So let me just share some of these flight paths with you so you can see what's going on. So this was just about an hour ago. This is a presidential Doomsday plane here, an E-4B Night Watch that took off from Offutt Air Base at the same time as a Stratotanker took off from Lincoln, Nebraska. And they both met in the air. And then after they met, the presidential Doomsday plane turned its transponder off in northeastern Kansas. And these Doomsday planes are for the U.S. president to command our military in a cataclysmic event, such as a nuclear war. Okay, these are specially designed planes that are resistant to EMPs, and they can also send out VLF messages to our nuclear forces, our submerged nuclear armed submarines, and our bomber force. Okay, they have a special trailing wire antenna that they can deploy, and they can communicate with our nuclear forces and send out uh, launch orders and attack options, even in the event of a nuclear war. So there's no interference from radiation. They can still send out these codes to our nuclear forces in the middle of a nuclear war. Okay, so the president would stay airborne on this plane, and he would command the nuclear forces from this plane. And the reason why they would go on a plane and not in a bunker is that bunkers are fixed locations, and our enemies know where most of our bunkers are. So it's actually safer for the president to be in the air because he can just get constantly refueled, and he could just land at anywhere basically if he needs to, and then get taken to a bunker by land. Okay, and this is another shot showing where the Doomsday plane turned off its transponder just north of Topeka. Okay, you can see right here it turned its transponder off, and this plane over here is the aerial refueler with its transponder still on. Okay, so very, very concerning. And so what you're looking at here is a live map as of 1:19 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can see this U.S. government VIP plane that took off from the D.C. area, and it's about to land in Offutt Air Base. Okay, this is a critical base. It's the most important base for the U.S. military. Okay, this base is where Dick Cheney was sent after 9/11. Okay, because they can command all the combatant commands of the U.S. military from this base. Okay, every single part of the U.S. military can be commanded from Stratcom. Okay, so for there to be VIPs being moved to Stratcom at the same time as a presidential Doomsday plane is sent in the air and turns its transponder off and is aerially refueled is very, very concerning. And this is that plane right here, the VIP plane. It's a C-37B, and you can see it says right here that this plane is to fill the worldwide special airlift missions for high-ranking government and Department of Defense officials. Okay, so all the top generals use this plane, and various types of cabinet members of the president. So very, very concerning, guys. And of course, yesterday this video leaked out on social media, and this is in North Dakota, and it shows a convoy heading towards Minot Air Force Base, presumably with a semi loaded with nuclear warheads. Okay, this semi right here, this unmarked semi, has some kind of nuclear weapons in it, and it's being escorted by military police and regular police, and also there's a Black Hawk flying over it to provide air cover. Okay, or I'm not sure if that was a Black Hawk. Could be some other type of helicopter. Okay, but this is clearly a nuclear weapon being moved in North Dakota. And if you missed my previous update, I recommend you watch it. But basically, because Putin pulled out of the New START treaty earlier this year, the U.S. can now up-arm its nuclear arsenal. And they recently tested a Minuteman III ICBM 2 weeks ago, actually, and they tested it with 3 dummy warheads instead of the normal 1 dummy warhead. Okay, so under the New START treaty, which was created by Obama and signed with Putin, under the New START treaty, the U.S. reduced the number of warheads per each Minuteman missile from 3 down to 1. Okay, so our Minuteman missiles can carry 330 kiloton warheads per missile, and we reduced that down to just 1 300 kiloton warhead. Okay, so the U.S. can easily up-arm its arsenal now by just installing 2 more warheads on each one of the 400 deployed Minuteman missiles. Okay, so this could be what they're doing here, especially when you consider that they tested a Minuteman III 2 weeks ago with 3 dummy warheads on it. Okay, and how do we know that this truck has nuclear weapons in it? Because look at the convoy, okay? It's being escorted by half a dozen military police with machine gun turrets, and it also has air support and also civilian police, okay? So, yeah, this is definitely a nuclear weapon that's being moved in this video. It can't be anything else, okay? And what's interesting is the timing of all of this, guys. You can clearly see that there's an escalation going on, because just 2 days ago, I reported that for the first time ever, an Ohio class sub with 154 Tomahawk missiles arrived in Norway. And Ohio class subs have made port calls in Norway. It's actually routine. But this particular Ohio class sub had 154 Tomahawk missiles, and that's the first time an Ohio class sub with Tomahawk missiles arrived in Norway. And the Tomahawk missile is capable of carrying the W-80 nuclear warhead, which has a yield of up to 150 kilotons. So imagine if all of those Tomahawk missiles, 154 of them, have a nuclear warhead on them. I mean, they could completely devastate a lot of Russian bases. And those Tomahawk missiles are basically tactical missiles, okay? So why would the U.S. suddenly move tactical missiles into the European theater if there wasn't something going on, okay? And now this, with these warheads being moved in North Dakota and the Doomsday plane today. So very, very concerning, guys. Something is definitely going on behind the scenes. And if you missed my updates from earlier in the week, there was a very concerning situation that happened last September in the Black Sea. We were the closest to nuclear war ever in humanity when 2 Russian fighter jets engaged a British reconnaissance plane, an RC-135, and one of those Russian fighter jets actually fired a missile at the British plane. and the missile malfunctioned, so it didn't actually hit the plane. But the fact that the Russian fighter pilot actually launched the missile is very concerning. And those British recon planes usually have up to 30 crew members on board. Okay, imagine if that missile actually hit that plane and killed 30 British crew members. Okay, that would have been very, very serious, and it could have escalated to nuclear war. But by the grace of God, that Russian missile did not hit the British recon plane for whatever reason. Either it malfunctioned, most likely it was because the recon plane was jamming the missile and the fighter jets. They had some jamming systems that they activated because they knew that those fighter jets were tailing them. So they probably switched on some kind of countermeasures, and it probably messed up the guidance system on the missile and caused it to miss the recon plane. Okay. So get prepared, guys. Things are really escalating between Russia and NATO. The war in Ukraine is not going to be over anytime soon. Okay. It's only going to escalate, with North Korea promising artillery for Russia now. Russia's going to be able to resupply its forces in southern Ukraine in the occupied territories. And Ukraine is now asking for defense contractors to come and visit Ukraine, up to 86 defense contractors. Ukraine is going to get F-16s. They're going to get Swedish Gripen jets. So this war is just continuing to escalate, guys. And Ukraine's intelligence said last month that Russia is planning to draft up to 700,000 troops for the war. Okay. And also, Ukraine's general staff, okay, their top generals said also the same thing as Ukraine's intelligence, that, yeah, Russia is going to be drafting upwards of 750,000 more troops. Okay. So get prepared, guys. Make sure you have a nuclear war survival plan. Check out my How to Survive Nuclear War series. I'll leave a link in the top right corner. And we also have some major breaking news coming from NATO. Jens Stoltenberg, the leader of NATO, says that he does not expect the war in Ukraine to end quickly. And he said this in an interview with a German news outlet called the German Funk Media Group. And he said most wars last longer than expected when they first begin. Therefore, we must prepare ourselves for a long war in Ukraine. Okay, that's exactly what Jens Stoltenberg said, the leader of NATO. We also have some breaking news coming from the Korean Peninsula. The president of South Korea, Yoon Suk Yeol, said that if North Korea uses nuclear weapons against South Korea, that South Korea and the United States would basically completely wipe out North Korea. I'll read to you exactly what he said. So he said, a strong response from the United States and the Republic of Korea will lead to the collapse of the North Korean regime. Okay. And a few months ago, South Korea was doing nuclear exercises with the U.S. Okay, they were practicing delivering nuclear weapons. Okay, they were flying with U.S. B-52s and B-1s, and the South Koreans asked the U.S. to share their nuclear weapons because South Korea has F-35s. So South Korea could use some of our gravity bombs, the B-61 in particular, which we have in Europe. They could use the B-61s and put them on the F-35s and convert those F-35s into basically a mini stealth bomber. And so South Korea earlier this year requested to share nuclear weapons with the U.S. and practice delivering them. Okay. And I wanted to just give you guys an update on Ramzan Kadyrov, the leader of Chechnya. We have Russian Telegram channels reporting a large number of expensive vehicles entering the Central Clinical Hospital in Moscow. And we also are hearing that all of the vehicles have Chechen license plates, and the hospital security is checking underneath the vehicles to see if there's any bombs or anything like that. And the vehicles are being checked very thoroughly. So it looks like Kadyrov is potentially in the Central Clinical Hospital in Moscow. Okay. Rumor has it that his personal doctor may have poisoned him. Okay. A lot of Chechens don't like Kadyrov because Kadyrov is pro Putin, and the Chechens fought a war against the Russian government and the Russian military for several years to try to break away from Russia. So a lot of Chechens hate Putin and the Russian government, and Kadyrov is basically there to keep the Chechens in line. So it's very possible that some hardline Chechens tried to take him out because they're sick of it. They're sick of him. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I'll keep you updated. I have another emergency alert coming very soon, so make sure you're subscribed to my channel and hit the bell notification so you can get notified when I do these uploads. Other than that, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.